let's go to the second out. So staying in the National League, the Atlanta Braves, New York Mets right now tied for the last spot in the wild card. The Padres right now 3.5 spots up, 3.5 games up. Diamondbacks 2 games up. I think most people feel pretty confident in those two teams making the playoffs. They're playing good baseball right now. I think that, they have a little bit of wiggle room, not much, but a little bit of wiggle room in the wild card. The Mets and Braves really seem to be kind of fighting for that last wild card spot. Here's the thing. I'll give you who I think gets in. I think the Braves path in is pretty easy. Like, the reason I'm saying that is because the Mets schedule to end the season is brutal. So they have a 3-gamer against the Nationals at home. Okay, whatever. They're at home for 4 against Philadelphia. Then they go at Atlanta, and then they close the season at Milwaukee. Like, that's tough. That's really, really something. The Braves, on the other hand, right? The Braves at the Reds, at the Marlins, home against the Mets, home against the Royals. Like, this next week for the Braves is like, that's make-up ground time. You get to play the Marlins while the Mets have to play 4 against the Phillies. Like, it's not fair. Like, it's not even a fair fight. So that's what I think. I'll go to that extent before I let you go. Atlanta Braves, that's my pick over them over the Mets in the playoffs. I live in New York. I'm going to get bludgeoned. What's your take?
I think you're absolutely right. Here's another perspective to look at it too. Which one of these organizations do you trust under pressure?
Atlanta.
Right? And I think the first thing that's going to happen is this week, Atlanta is going to beat up on Cincinnati, and they are going to beat up on Miami.
Yeah.
And then they are going to come home to 3 nights at a sold-out Truist Park that's going to be in full playoff mode for those games against the Mets.
Yeah.
I think the Mets are a candidate for – I don't want to use this type of language on the show, but I think they're a candidate for the tightening butthole. Like, I think it's kind of just part of the fabric of who they are. And I think we're already seeing it. Like, they lost the last 2 games in Philadelphia, couldn't hit a lick yesterday, and Jake Irvin has completed 6 scoreless innings in New York tonight. Like, this is where the Mets, I think, are going to start to met. Like, I would not be shocked if Mitchell Parker shuts them down tomorrow. Like, this is where you kind of know who the Mets are, and they're about to show you who they are.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll prove me wrong. I hope they don't, because fuck the Mets, frankly. Like, genuinely, like, who wants to listen to these assholes if their team's in the playoffs? Like, nobody. Like, fuck them. Like, genuinely. So, and for what it's worth, Fangraphs gives the Braves a 68.7% chance to make the playoffs. They give the Mets a 43.1% chance to make the playoffs. Diamondbacks and Padres are sitting at 89 and 98, respectively. So Fangraphs favors the Braves. Makes sense given the schedule. I think that's the right side to look at. I don't know. I have a feeling – like, if the Braves go into that series in Atlanta with a 2-game lead, I think they end it right there.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Mets certainly, you bring up a very good point. The Mets do Met, as they do. I mean, and I've seen it firsthand. I have so many friends that are Met fans, and all they do is they bitch and moan about, like, it took 2 seconds. I said it years ago. When Steve Cohen bought the Mets, I said it years ago. I said, it is going to take like 1 year for Met fans to turn on him. Like, 1 year. They were like, finally the Wilpons sold the Mets, which is honestly, like, everybody thought That was the best thing that could happen to that organization, was that the Wilpons finally sold the team. Great. Steve Cohen buys him. Has more money than God. Everybody says, okay, he's going to turn it around. He spends all this money, highest payroll in baseball by a lot, gives Carlos Correa all this money. Turns out that deal went to kaput, right? They sign Verlander. They sign Max Scherzer. They do all these things. Totally falls apart. Nothing, and now they're sitting here with like Sean Manaea lined up to start game 1 of a playoff series. It literally took like 2 seasons for them to completely bail on Steve Cohen. Sell the team. The guy's not going to sell the team for another 25 years. Like, he's going to be your owner for a long time. But
yeah,
I just find it so funny because, again, I live in New York, and Yankee fans and Met fans go at each other all the time. And their gripe with us is that we tell, our 27 world championships or whatever. Like, we always kind of like big brother them a little bit. But like, I've never met, and we've discussed this at length. I've never seen a whinier fan base in sports than Met fans. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, the thing about that too is like the moment things go well for them, they are completely insufferable the other direction. And it's like no, you don't get to be douchebags on both sides. It just means that you're a prick it just means that you're a prick 365 days out of the year. Like, I cannot stand these motherfuckers. Like, they're the worst. Like, all they do is bitch and moan and woe is me. Like, there was a Mets fan arguing with me on Twitter a few weeks ago that they have it worse than any fan base in baseball. Like, are you aware of what it would be like to be a Pittsburgh Pirates fan of our age? Like, have you ever considered that? Like,
yeah, right.
Like, do you ever thought about what it's been like to be a to be a Marlins fan for the last 20 years? Like, this idea that the Mets have it worse than shut the fuck up. Like, enough. They're just so annoying. And by the way, I got to shut something else down too.
I think I know where you're going.
You do know where I'm going because you've gone there with the Bobby Witt stuff, right?
Yes.
This Lindor Ohtani argument,
if
Francisco Lindor played in any other market, like if Francisco Lindor played for the Reds fans would be like, this has been an awesome season for Francisco Lindor, but like, we're a fringe playoff contender, which I'm speaking as terms of what the Mets are, and let's look at the numbers, and it's not close, right? Let me just squash it this way, right? Lindor plays defense. That's some extra value, sure. If the numbers were close or tied between them, fine. But here's the thing about WAR. WAR includes your defensive value. What I'm seeing is Baseball Reference WAR 7.4 to 6.6 in favor of Ohtani. Now let's go down the numbers, right? Lindor has leads in 2 categories, okay? He has 2 more plate appearances, and he has 2 more games played. That's it.
Yeah.
Let me go through the rest of them. Hits, Ohtani by 5. Home runs, Ohtani by 16. RBIs, Ohtani by 20. Stolen bases, Ohtani by 21. Batting average, Ohtani by 19 points. On base percentage, Ohtani by 32 points. Slugging percentage, Ohtani by 150 points.
Right.
OPS, Ohtani by 152 points. OPS plus, 176 to 136. Ohtani by 40 points in OPS plus, a stat that measures you against an average ball player. Like, stop.
It's not close.
It's not.
I always kind of shake my head at that whole argument because, and listen, you have to admire to a certain extent a Met fan's passion to be brutally wrong on some of these things. But like Ohtani, just to put it simply, 290, 47 homers, 106 RBIs, 48 stolen bases, 988 OPS. Francisco Lindor, 271, 31 homers, 86 RBIs, 27 stolen bases, and 836 OPS. Lindor's having a solid year after he was terrible to begin the year, by the way. He's really kind of climbed and had himself a really nice year. And here's the other thing, too. Like, like I said, I can admire how Met fans feel so passionately about their shortstop.
But
Bobby Witt Jr. is so much better than him. It's not even close.
oh
Like,
yeah,
Bobby Witt Jr. is hitting 331 with a 979 OPS, and he has 31 homers. Like, come on, dude. And he's 24 years old. Like, you're getting that player 6 years younger than what Lindor is. Like, he's just better. He's just better. I'm sorry.
Well, and here's the other thing too, and here's why I disagree with you about the Mets fans and their quote unquote passion. I would love to run a search on tweets that say the words Francisco Lindor in April, May, and June of 2024.
Right. Caught him.
Like,
this guy sucks.
They were booing him in the home stadium and calling him the worst contract in baseball.
Yeah.
And now within that same season, you're going to bitch and moan about how you think he's getting ignored in the MVP race. It's the most Mets bullshit ever. Like, the guy's having a great year. He started off slow. Like, that happens, right? But with the Mets, it's like, we've never seen anything like this because it's the Mets and Grimace. Shut the fuck up. Like, enough.
It very likely could turn out to be the best year that Lindor has ever had as a Met.
Sure.
But it's not. He's
having
not
a good
close
year.
for MVP, and he's not close for best shortstop in the game. He's
No.
just not. Like, and listen, if it isn't Bobby Witt, and I haven't looked at the numbers closely. I really haven't. But if it's not Bobby Witt, it's Corey Seager. Like that's just the feeling I get. Like, I'm certain that if you were to just ask me today without looking at any numbers, I'm taking Corey Seager over Frankie Lindor. I just am.
Yeah, I'm taking Gunnar Henderson too.
Oh, there we go. Exactly. Yes. So, okay. Shall we end it there? I think we're good. Braves over the Mets. Lindor is. I don't even want to be as disrespectful as to say Lindor is overrated, but that's Met fans overrate him.
Yeah, he's had a great year. He's had a great year. I'll give him that.
Yes, he has.